students. Today I'm going to discuss about the next part of the chapter of electricity, and that is static electricity. As the electricity which we use in our daily life for the various processes like switching on the fan or tube light, they are due to the motion of charges. Then that part is called current electricity. Anything which is in motion regarding the fact that the charges they also flow, that is considered to be part of the current electricity. In this part I am going to discuss about the charges at rest. Static means rest. So when the charges or electricity is at rest, that part is called static electricity. Now, as various objects are there and they also requires the charge. So when any of the substance or any of the object like glass, plastic, ebonite, when it is rubbed with wool, fur or silk, then they will acquire the charge, and that charge which we got on the object, the plastic object or the glass object or the ebonite, which that is due to the friction. Now the object is said to be charged, and when it acquires the charge, it has got some properties like it will attract the other things towards itself. So related to that, an activity is there which says that, and also you might have experienced that in your daily life. Suppose suddenly in the winters your hands are very much dry and you just rub your hand on the blanket, you will see a spark. That spark is due to the static electricity. In the same way, take a plastic comb or a plastic scale and bring it near small bits of paper. What you will observe? Nothing happens. But once just rub that plastic comb or plastic scale on your dry hair and again bring it near the small bits of paper, you will observe that the small bits of paper get attracted towards the comb or the scale, and that is due to friction. So due to friction, the objects they are getting attracted towards the other object. So related to that, some activities have been described. One of the activity I have just explained you right now. Another one is also there, like they are saying use a plastic ruler. Same thing, plastic pen, plastic ruler. It will also attract small bit of papers if you rub it with any woolen cloth or a silk cloth. So from this we have just illustrated that while we rub the object has got the property that it has attracted the other object towards itself. Now, when an object is rubbed, then or we will say that it has got the charge. So, if a glass rod is rubbed with silk cloth, it will attract small bits of paper, and similarly if an ebonite rod is rubbed with a woolen cloth, it will also attract small bits of paper towards itself. Now it is not like so that only these objects are attracting, like glass rod or silk cloth or ebonite rod are attracting the bits of paper or any other thing towards itself. Many things are there, and it is also found that, or you have studied about this also, that some of the property, like you know how many kinds of charges are there? Charges are of two kinds. What are the two types of charges? Positive and negative. Now after we have just bifurcated charges into two categories, positive and negative, we also come to know that the charges, some of the properties of charge, and the property of charges. First one, like charges repel each other. attract each other. So these are the two important properties. Now the body which is possessing charge, that is called charged body, and the body which do not have charge, they are called uncharged body or neutral body. Next thing is that always a charged body attracts uncharged body. Conductors and insulators. The difference is that conductors, they conduct the electricity, that means they will attract the charges towards itself, while insulators, they cannot be charged by rubbing or by any other process. Now charging of two bodies on rubbing them together is called static electricity. Now, the next part, there are kinds of electric charges, like charges repel and unlike charges attract each other. That part is not included in the syllabus. Only the thing is that only related to the properties. That there are two kinds of charges, positive and negative, and the second one is like charges repel and unlike charges attract each other. Now, the next part is related to the fact, that is conservation of charge. What does that part says? Like before rubbing, we know that both the object, whether it is glass rod or silk cloth or ebonite rod or wool, they all are neutral. If we have a woolen cloth, it will not attract any other object unless until we rub that woolen cloth with other object. So, what does we conclude from this? That before rubbing, all the objects, they are uncharged and hence the net charge is 0. Now, when we rub the two objects together, what will happen? Some charges are getting transferred from one to another. And when we are rubbing the object and the charge is getting transferred, then we will see that the total charge on that system, it remains same, it remains conserved. If we have a glass rod, suppose, let us say it is a glass rod, it is rubbed with a silk cloth, and we are bringing it together, we are rubbing it, and when we rub it together, what will happen? Charge are getting transferred from silk cloth to the glass rod, or from glass rod to the silk cloth. In this case, the before rubbing both are neutral, while after rubbing electrons are transferred. So electrons are transferred from glass rod to silk rod, and when this happens, so it will become positively charged and it will become negatively charged. How much amount of charge is required by the glass rod? The same amount of charge is getting transferred to the silk cloth. In this way, if I will say what is the total charge in this system, 3 positive charges and 3 negative charges, when we will add up the charges, the total charge of the system becomes 0. In this way, we will say that, or the law of conservation of charge say that charge can neither be created nor be destroyed. It can only be transferred from one body total charge of the system remains constant. Now, next part is explanation of charging on rubbing. As each body has atoms, we know. An atom, I am just showing you a rough diagram of an atom. Let us say this is an atom, or you might have drawn an atom like this. What is this called? This is the nucleus, which consists of proton and neutron. Now, what is here inside? If it is an atom, at the center we have protons and neutrons, and electrons are revolving around the nucleus. Now, they are free. Electrons are free. And whatever number of electrons are there, the same number of protons are present in an atom. Okay. You may take any of the, like I have written sodium. 23 is the atomic mass and 11 is the atomic number. So, number of protons in this is 11. Number of electrons are also 11, and number of neutrons is 12. Okay, so from here we have observed that an atom consists equal amount of protons and equal amount of electrons. Now protons, what is the charge on protons? It is positive charge. And what is the charge on electrons? It is negative. If now we have equal number of proton and neutrons, they are neutral. So if we will take up the total charge on an atom, number of proton plus number of neutrons plus number of electrons, the total charge becomes 0. Okay. Now what is happening? As we will provide some energy, like when we are rubbing or when we are when we rub an object, then in that case some of the electrons are getting transferred from one of the atom to the other. They are leaving their atoms and leaving their orbits and moving out. When this happens, that the electrons will leave their shells and move out, then that process or that phenomena is taking place by the virtue of providing energy, and hence the electrons which leave their shells, they are called free electrons. So mainly free electrons are responsible for static electricity, or or we can say current electricity, because motion of charges is there. That means electrons are moving, and which electrons can move? Which are in the outermost orbit. Okay, because they are loosely bound. So the loosely bound outermost electrons, they leave the shell, and hence we will say that the electrons are free. So when the two objects, they are rubbed together, what is happening? When we are rubbing the two objects together, they are becoming electrically neutral. Initially they were neutral, and when we will rub together, then the object, they will get, like I have shown the example, I have rubbed the glass rod with a silk rod. When I have done so, then in that case the glass rod, it is transferring its electrons, it is having extra amount of electrons. So when the electrons will move, initially it is having equal number of positive and negative charge, so it was neutral. But once we will rub, electrons will leave, so it will have more amount of positive charge. So the object from which electrons are getting removed, it will become positively charged, and the electrons on which the electrons get attracted, it will become negatively charged. Hence the silk rod, as it is gaining the electrons, it becomes negatively charged, and the glass rod, it is becoming or it is just losing the electrons, hence it is becoming positively charged. So this is the example related to the method that how we will charge the given our conductor by rubber. So the first method I have explained that that is related to charging by rubbing. The same thing we can do in case of ebonite rod, but what will be there in case of ebonite rod? And woolen cloth, if I will say it is an ebonite rod and it is rubbed with a woolen cloth or fur, then electrons are transferred from woolen cloth to the ebonite rod. So the woolen cloth becomes positively charged and ebonite rod will become negatively charged. Okay. So this method is called charging by rubbing, because actually we have rubbed the two objects. We have taken a glass rod and we have rubbed it with a silk cloth, or we will take an ebonite rod and we will rub it with a woolen cloth. Hence we are acquiring the charge. So this method is mainly considered as charging by rubbing. Okay. Now, on the basis of this, we are going to discuss about the part that is conductors and insulators. So, in class 7, you have studied about some of the substances like silver, copper, aluminium, okay, gold, brass, carbon, human body also. They are conductors of electricity. What does this term conductors means? It means that through these objects electricity is able to pass or electricity is able to flow. While some substances are there like pure water, like plastic, like wood, which do not allow electricity to pass through them. So the reason why we will say that conductors allow electricity to pass through them and insulators does not allow electricity to pass through them, it is based on the fact that conductors have large number of free electrons. So conductors, conductors. The word is described from the word conduct. That means allow electricity to pass through them. And why they are allowing electricity to pass through them? Because of they have large number of free electrons. If they have large number of free electrons, hence they will conduct the electricity. While insulators, insulators are those which do not allow electricity to pass through them. Hence, we conclude that they do not have or very few free Now, the next important thing is conductors cannot be charged by rubbing, because what will happen if we have any kind of conductor and we will rub? What will happen? The charge that is already on the conductor, that will go away. And if it will wipe out, suppose we have a positively charged glass rod and again I am rubbing it with the any other substance, then what will happen? Slowly the charge that is developed on the glass rod, that is positive charge, it will start flowing away from it. Hence, conductors cannot be charged by rubbing. So, which objects can be charged? Insulators. Insulators can be charged by rubbing. Now, there are various methods by virtue of which we can charge the conductor. Okay, we will discuss about that one by one. So far, we have discussed about the part that is charging an insulator or how it can be charged. Now, as we know, insulators, they can be easily charged. When we will bring two insulators together, they can be charged simply by rubbing. But what can we say about conductors? As we know that when we will start rubbing two conductors together, then the charge will get transferred from one conductor to other, and hence this thing is, or this process cannot take place. So it means that the conductors, they cannot be charged simply by rubbing. So now in this topic we will discuss about the method by virtue of which we can charge a conductor. First method is charging by conduction. By conduction means we have to keep it near another object which is already conducted or which is already a conductor. It is having some charge. So what I will do, I have taken a ebonite rod which is negatively charged, and now I am bringing it near a metal rod. This metal rod is a conductor. Since I have written metal, so it is a conductor, and I am keeping it on insulating stack. And this ebonite rod is provided with an insulating handle to hold it. Now, what I have done, one ebonite rod is there. I have brought near it, let us suppose this chalk piece is an ebonite rod and I have brought near it a metal rod which is electrically neutral initially. Now when I will take the negative charge, what will happen? Since this metal rod is having equal number of protons, that is positive, or I am saying positive and negative charge. So if it is negatively charged, the ebonite rod, then it, as we know, negative will attract positive. So all the positive charge will be attracted towards this. Okay, and by virtue of that, this negative and positive will cancel out. What will remain inside? That is the negative charge. So hence this metal rod will become negatively charged. Whatever is the number of, if it is having 4 electrons or 4 negative charge, the same number of negative charge will be there on the metal rod. So some of the points that must be kept in mind, that the conductor which is to be charged, when it is brought near another charged body, the conductor will get the similar charge. conductor will acquire similar charge. Okay, as on the charge body, and the charge on the charging body is shared by the conductor. So in this way I have shown that we have taken a simply a charged, negatively charged ebonite rod, and I have brought near it a metal rod, and that metal rod is placed on an insulating stand. Now when I have brought that negatively charged ebonite rod and touched it, then some amount of the negative charge is transferred from the ebonite rod to the metal rod, and when I will remove that negatively charged rod, then also this metal rod will become negatively charged. So why it has happened so? Because the glass rod, as it is negatively charged, so it is having deficiency of positive charge, and when it is touched with the metal rod, then the positive charge, as I have shown earlier, all the positive charge of this metal rod will attract towards the negative, and this positive and negative, they will cancel out. What will remain inside? That is the negative charge, and hence the metal rod will become negatively charged. So this is the first method by virtue of which you have seen the two rods are placed or they are touching each other. This method is called charging a conductor by conduction. Actually, they are in contact. The second one is charging by induction. Now, in the second method, that is charging a conductor by induction, the conductor which is to be charged is not touched with the charge body. So, let us suppose this is the metal rod and this is the ebonite rod. They will not touch, but they are kept in very close to each other. Now, it is having the negative charge. Okay. So, and this metal rod is neutral. This negative will attract positive towards itself. As it will attract the positive towards itself, so all the negative will be here. Now, in this case, in this way, it is getting the negative charge. So, in this method, the conductor which is to be charged, it is not touched with the charged body, but it is kept there. And the end of the conductor which is near, that is, let us say this is end 1, this is end 2. So this end, what charge it has acquired? Positive, that is opposite of this one. If it is negatively charged, then it has acquired a positive charge. If we will reverse the situation, we will take a positively charged glass rod, then it will become negative charge. Hence, while the other end, it has acquired the same charge as that of the charge body. So here this thing is shown that this rod was negatively charged, so the nearer end, it has got the opposite charge, while the far end has got the same charge as that of the charge body. This one is the charged, and this metal rod was uncharged. Okay. Now what is the explanation regarding this? As the negatively charged ebonite rod, it will repel the free electrons, and when it will repel, only it will attract the positive charge. So the positive charge from end 2, it will move towards end 1, and hence the end 2 will become negative and end 1 will become positive. On removing the glass rod, the electrons of the metal rod, they will move from 2 towards 1 and hence neutralize the charge. Now, if we are holding this end, second one, in our hand, then what will happen? In this case, if initially it was kept on an insulating stand, if I have touched it with my hand and also I have removed this part, then what will happen? That we will see that this metal rod will become negatively charged. So, if we will touch or we will earth, then what will happen? The free charge that was present, it will move towards the, it will move from earth to neutralize the rest of the part, and on removal of the other rod and hand, the positive charge will get distributed equally and hence it will become the negatively charged. Okay, so in your book they have explained, like instead of negatively charged, they have taken, what they have done, they have taken a glass rod and that glass rod is positively charged. If it is positively charged, obviously it will attract the free electrons of the metal rod, and here all the negative charge will be there and here positive charge will be there. And if it is now the positive charge, then what will happen? If we will touch or if we will ground it, suppose I am saying now I have removed this glass rod and now it is on earth. I have done the earthing. Now what will happen? This end is positive, so this positive will attract electrons. Electrons will move from earth or ground towards the glass rod, and when it will start moving, then again the rod will become, electrons are continuously moving, so what will happen? These electrons will neutralize the positive charge, okay, and if it will neutralize the positive charge, what will remain inside? It will become negatively charged. Hence, by this method of induction, we have charged the conductor opposite to that of the charge which was present. Okay, so this was the part. Now next one is the difference between charging. First one is by conduction and the second one is by induction. First, conduction. In the part of conduction, charged body was touched. Actually, they were touching each other in case of conduction. While in case of induction, they are kept very close, but they are not touching each other. Second, in case of conduction, charge is shared. Whatever number of charge was initially there on the charged body, that is being shared by the uncharged body. So the sharing is equal. While in induction, the charge is not shared. Whatever is the number of charge on the glass rod, the same number of charge was developed on the metal rod. Third thing, charge on a charged body is of same type. Okay, that is, if the charged body was positive, then the uncharged body or the metal rod will also become positive and vice versa. While in case of induction, if the charged body is positive, then we will get the uncharged body or we will acquire the charge on the uncharged body as negative. And on removal of the charged body, in case of conduction, the uncharged body will still have the same charge, while on removal, the charged body the charge on the uncharged body, it will remain, it will leave. Okay, so it means that as soon as the charge is removed or the charged body is removed, that conductor will lose the charge. Now, next one is the electroscope. What is an electroscope? An electroscope is basically a device which is used to detect the presence and nature of charge on a body. Okay, so mark my words, it is a device which is used to detect the presence and nature of charge on a body. Hence, in another words, we can say that it is used to find out whether the body is charged or uncharged, or if the body is charged, whether it is having a positive charge or it is having a negative charge. So the first one, there are two types of electroscope by virtue of which we can say the charge is positive or negative, or whether the body is charged or uncharged. The first one is pith ball electroscope. That one is not included in your syllabus. The second one, that is gold leaf electroscope. So I am discussing about that one only. The gold leaf electroscope. Okay. In the gold leaf electroscope, its diagram is shown in your book. Now, in this gold leaf electroscope, firstly I am discussing about its construction. It consists of two gold or aluminium beads. We can take gold or we can These are hanging from the brass rod. This one is a brass rod, and from this we have hanged the two leaves of the electroscope like this. Okay, and let us suppose this is a brass rod. Now, and it is having a brass disc at the upper end. The rod is fitted through an ebonite rod or core, which is fitted on the glass bottle. The glass bottle has tin foils on its sides near its bottom. Okay, so near the ends, these are the metal foils. Maybe the tin metal foils. Okay, near the bottom, and it is protect. The glass bottle, it protects the gold leaves from the effect of air and wind. All the things, it is perfectly insulated. Okay, so the air is not allowed to pass inside. So that's why it is covered with a brass disc over there. Now, to test whether a body is charged or uncharged, near the mouth of this there is a small hole. Touch this brass disc. Since brass is a metal, okay, it is an alloy, so it will allow the electricity to pass through it. As this brass will pass on the electricity, so what will happen, that electricity will be passed to the gold or aluminum leaves, and hence if the two leaves, if they will acquire the same charge, now we will know from the top the same charge is getting passed on, and it is passing on to the two leaves. Then now these two leaves, these are getting the same kind of charge. What will happen, these leaves, they will move apart from each other, and if they will move apart from each other, that means they are having the same kind of charge. So by virtue of that, we will say that it is a charged body. And if we will bring another body, initially on the brass disc we have kept a charged metal rod. Now if we will keep an uncharged body like simply a glass rod or a woolen cloth, I have kept it on the brass disc, nothing will happen and the leaf will remain like this. They will remain intact. But if the topmost portion, that is of the brass disc, if it is touched with a charged body, then the leaves, they will move apart. So bring the body and touch it with a brass disc, and if the leaves diverge, then the body is charged, and if they will not, then it is uncharged. Next one is to test whether the charged body are having the positive charge or the negative charge. Now for that, on the gold leaf electroscope, suppose we are saying that the electroscope is positively charged. So bring the charged body, that is to be tested in the contact with the brass disc, and if the divergence increases, initially what I am saying, that my gold leaves, these are positively charged. If it is positively charged and I am bringing a positive charge here, positive charge and positive charge. So what will happen? Naturally the positive and positive will repel and the leaves will move apart. And if I am bringing a negative charge body, then the negative charge, it is getting transferred, and when it is getting transferred, this gold leaf are having the positive charge. So the negative charge will attract the positive charge and the leaves will be, the divergence will be comparatively less. So if from the charged body the divergence of the leaves increases, then it is having the a negative positive charge, and if the divergence decreases, then it is having negative charge. This testing can also be done by negatively charged electroscope. So all the things, it is based on this electroscope. If electroscope is negatively charged, Electroscope is negatively charged. That means, what does it means? That means gold leaves are negative, are having the negative charge. So positively charged dot, positive and negative, it will attract, and if it will attract, divergence of leaf, then divergence of leaves decreases, and if electroscope is positively charged, if it is positively charged, that means gold leaves are positive, then and negatively charged, then it is positive. So for positively charged body, divergence increases, and for negatively charged bodies, divergence decreases. So this is regarding the gold leaf electroscope. Okay. So it means that gold leaf electroscope, we can choose whether we have to check the positive charge or negative charge by choosing firstly the electroscope, whether the electroscope is positively charged or whether the electroscope is negatively charged. Now the next topic, that is, so from this we have summarized that if the charge on the electroscope is if the electroscope is not having any kind of charge, then the divergence will increase. We will say that body is charged, and if the divergence remains the same, then we say that body is not charged. If electroscope is positive, if electroscope is positive, then for the positively charged body, divergence will increase, and for the negatively charged, it will decrease. Okay. So, and same for the negative one. So if you touch a charged body, the charge on the body is passed on from the from our body to the earth, as we know that human body is a good conductor of electricity. So that's why if a person accidentally touches any appliance, and his or her hands are wet, or the sleepers are wet, in that case we are getting a shock. The reason for that is our body, as it is conducting in nature, so our body will provide a path for the electricity to flow through our body, and hence it will pass on from our body to the earth and then to the ground. Hence we will get a charge. Next one, that is the part of atmospheric electricity, that is again deleted from our portion. Now the last topic that is remaining, it is lightning and lightning current. Lightning. During the rainy season, you might have just seen the thunderstorm. So when the thunderstorm it it is happening, then what is happening in that case? then the charged cloud, it is passing on over the earth and it acquires an opposite charge by the method of induction, and hence a spark occurs between two oppositely charged clouds, and this spark is called light. So what is basically lightning? That whenever the thunderstorm is there, whenever the clouds, they are acquiring the charge, and they are getting opposite charge to that of the earth. Now in that case, the spark is happening, and that spark is called lightning. Now, effect of lightning, you might have seen that sometime due to lightning, some area is damaged, the electricity, it is also getting affected. Also, sometimes it can lead to the death and devastation of the human beings and animals. And sometimes it also causes fire. So, what are the safety precautions that you have to take during these thunderstorms? Firstly, do not stand under a tree or near a very tall building. While hearing a thunderstorm, rush to a safer place like a low-rise building. If you are traveling by car or a bus, then close the doors and windows of the vehicle and remain inside. Do not carry an umbrella that is having a metal rod or a metal tap, metal strip on the top, as it will be a good conductor of electricity, and the electricity it can pass on as you are holding your hand. So from your body it can pass on to the ground also. So do not carry an umbrella over your head, okay, especially in an open ground. If there are trees, take shelter over a shorter tree rather than a taller one. Do not lie on the ground. While next one is, take out the plugs of your TV sets or any other electronic item that is having a plug. Remove the plug immediately from the socket. Do not take a bath and avoid coming in contact with the running water or the tap. Do not stand near the windows. Now next one, also to safeguard the tall rise building or our homes or our houses, one device is being used, and that is called lightning projector. What is this lightning conductor? It is a device which protects us and our building from getting damaged due to lightning. Now what is there? It is having a copper rod, a long copper rod with a sharp points. Now what is there? There is a, normally this is a copper rod or a copper strip. We can install it in our houses also, and that rod is long enough so that it can touch the ground surface. This metal plate, it is buried in the ground, okay, inside the ground. Now, and then it is cemented. That firstly the metal plate, it is just kept or it is buried inside the ground, and then it is cemented, and we are keeping it in such a way that this metal copper strip is touching the metal plate. Okay, so that copper rod is having spikes on, and it is placed on the top of the building. So once the clouds that are having the charges, if the clouds are having the positive charge, then as the clouds and the spikes, they are not in contact with each other. So these are the spikes. They are getting conducted or they are getting charged. These spikes will get charged by conduction, by induction. And when they are charged by induction, if the clouds are having positive charge, the spike will get negative charge. So all this negative charge now will be passed on through the copper strip and it will go to the metal plate that is buried inside the ground, and hence we are getting prevented or we are getting safeguard from getting damaged during the lightning or during the thunderstorm. So when the charge cloud it is passing on the building, an opposite charge is developed on the spikes. Why? And the method is charging by induction. So this charge is passed on to the earth through the copper rod, and the lightning spark is prevented from getting damaged, and hence it is safeguarding us from getting any kind of shock. So that's all for the second semester portion. Now only the part that is remaining, it is the question answer and of this chapter, and the some of the topics that have been deleted from the portion I have explained you. The first one is the kinds of electric charges, then is the fifth wall electroscope, and the last one is atmospheric electricity. Okay, so that's all for today's lecture. Thanks a lot.